Look, their sisters, see the heretic. Their false gods falter, how pathetic. When we speak, our prayers turn prophetic. Their heresy burns, our wrath poetic. The traitor's lies will burn to ashes. With every hymn his vengeance flashes. Their mutant blood will stain the ground. In his name we strike them down. Have faith in trials by fire. Have faith in his righteous ire. The hopeful bold, the doubtful burn. His mercy something you must earn. Have faith, for him we gladly die. Through his prayers we rise. His wrath burns in our eyes. Have faith, his holy name we praise. His glory lights our ways. Set heretics ablaze. My bolter shells find a traitor. Faith will cleanse the perpetrator. Each sister's a vindicator. Let all worlds hear Ave Imperator. Sisters of battle, feel this hymn. His will burns from deep within. This is no mere mortal's game. This is his divine campaign. Sisters, raise your voices high. Galaxy hears our cry. Have faith, let his glory shine. Have faith as we hold the line. Have faith, for him will gladly die. Through his prayers we rise. His praise in our eyes. His holy name we praise. His glory lights our ways. Set heretics ablaze. And the Imperator. And the Imperator.
All right. Greetings, Waters. I'm Interrogator Rosado Rivas, attaché to Milady Inquisitor Markham of the Order Hereticus, and welcome to Looking Cute in Painted Minis. I'm coming at you live from the grim dark future, currently broadcasting from the high world of Virago. The theme music for the stream is Chords of Lament and Hope by the venerable liturgist Adam Bell. We also have music for Wymofurike Mechanicus, which is composed by Guillaume David and the copyright Bulwark Studios, and music from Wymofurike Dark Tide, which is composed by Jesper Kid and the copyright of Fetchar Games. All of the music is provided to us by Pixpay.com and ende.app. And today we're continuing to paint Kor'Sarro Khan. And I already have a few in the chat there. Cyberdoc saying beep boop. How you doing, Cyberdoc? Hope all is well. You have a good week. What you been up to? And the Emperor of Man, again, gracing us with his mighty presence. Welcome, God Emperor. Hopefully the Astronomicon is holding up. But yeah, today we're back on painting. And again, I am so sorry that I wasn't able to do a stream yesterday as much as I would have liked to. Things turned out, kind of impossible to do it. The Detta Stratum was definitely keeping us busy with a lot of paperwork. So, the Imperium must have its part first before we can have some fun. So, again, thank you all for coming. And we have Ethan in the chat saying, I was summoned. Hey, welcome, Ethan. Hope all is well. And Cyberdoc says all is well, or he is saying I am well. And Lord Inquisitor Callahan, welcome, my Lord Inquisitor. Well, this was interesting to come across my feed. Well, hopefully you enjoy it, my Lord Inquisitor. Milady Inquisitor Markham of the Order Hereticus sends her regards. Yeah, like I said, we're continuing to paint Kor'Sarro Khan, the captain of the 3rd Company of the White Scars. And he is looking pretty dapper, if I say so myself. I am loving how this came out. I'm especially proud of that scar. So today we're gonna be doing some more work. More than likely, I'm gonna start touching up that bird and the glove that he's got there and the head. So that's probably where I'll be focusing most of my efforts today. But before I do that, I realized that I left this bit of the emblem of the White Scars unpainted. The inner part. You notice how with all these other ones, I have painted the inner part of the rectangle red. I need to paint that part as well. And I've just realized that I should probably prioritize finishing all the logos because yes, we have a base color of white, but we definitely start adding some highlights. So I'm gonna do that instead before I start working on the bird and the arms and whatnot. And Ethan says, "Woo, we love speed every White Scar ever." Yes, that is correct. I definitely love the White Scars, primarily thanks to Jagarai Khan himself, their Primarch. He is just so cool. I love how even-keeled he is, and how he likes to keep his enemies guessing. And how he's not out for glory, he's just out to fight for what he believes is right, and to have a fun time doing it. Okay, so, like I said, first things first, let's work on that emblem there. So we're gonna go ahead and pull out our quintuple zero Marie. Oh, and I think I found out what the issue with my audio was the last 2 weeks. It was me attempting to separate the audio instead of having it all come from the same channel. So once I stopped trying to do that, I went ahead and everything seems to be working just fine. So Vane Parade for that. Lord Inquisitor Callahan says, "I shall send mine to her, but nevertheless, good to see another member of the Order Hereticus." Yes, yes. I am merely an interrogator, but she is definitely one of the loyal few, those who will rat out any heretic in the Imperium. So we'll get started with our word bearers. Yeah, I'll get started with my word bearers red. Since it's a tiny little thing, I'm not gonna put too much different colors of paint on there. Oh, and FYI, if you were here at the very beginning of the stream, the music you heard was Have Faith by Endless Taverns. And then Ethan says life sure is something, all right. And Cyberdoc says, that is neat. What is neat? What I'm painting, or the fact that Endless Taverns made the music? Alright, Ethan says, oh wait, Cyberdoc first, says the music. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, a lot of good music from ende.app, which used to be called filmmusic.io. Very, I guess venerating, is the best word I can think of. And Ethan says, tomorrow, aka today, my time later, I'm gonna get a new miniature since I haven't bought and build one in a while. And then Ethan says, the music also is always great. Oh, glad you like it. And what are you thinking about getting? Also, did anybody see that they're bringing the Chaos Dwarves back? Yeah, I love the Chaos Dwarves. They were one of my favorite teams to use in Blood Bowl 2. It was them, the Dark Elves, the Imperial team. I tried being able to use the Nurgle team, but I just sucked with them. They're a really hard team to get right. But yeah, now we have that red in there. It's looking nice. And Ethan says, haven't decided yet, but I'm sure I find something that's gonna be cool looking because rule of cool. Yeah, rule of cool is key. Alright, we're done with that word bearer's red. We can switch up to a different red. Trying to remember if I added any Evil Sun Scarlet last time. I feel like I didn't. Because Evil Sun Scarlet is quite the harsh red. I'll add some today on some of the pauldrons, because again, I realized that I missed a few things. So we're going to go ahead and just maybe work first with our Mephiston red. And then we'll move on to the Evil Sun Scarlet. Okay, now that that red is nice and shiny. And Ragion saying hello, loyalist. Would it be loyalist? I thought you were a Trader fan. How's it going, Ragion? How you been? Doing good? Ragion said, do you see the news of your White Scars getting a new model and patrol box? Yes, I did. I'm pretty excited. Like the guy in the bike. But I was actually more excited for the Death Watch kill team. Because that means I might still be able to salvage those White Scars that I worked on. Because I was a little upset that the White Scars that I had no longer seemed to fit the bill for any particular kill team and 3rd edition the kill team. But maybe with this new Death Watch kill team, they might. Fingers crossed that they might. I don't know yet what the rules are going to be, but hopefully they will. And Reagan says, I am. Clearly I didn't mean me. I don't worship the Carrion Emperor. Okay, gotcha. That was my mistake. I somehow read it as my fellow loyalist. Alright, so now we're going to switch to that Evil Sun Scarlet. And Lord Inquisitor Callahan saying, well, I will be in the background for a while because I have the most honorable position of second hand to the Inquisitorial representative, the High Lords. It's stressful. Oh, I do not envy you, my Lord Inquisitor. That must be quite the stressful position. And Ethan says, I'm just trying to stay awake. If you have to go to sleep, please don't worry about it. You know, that's what the VODs are for. Or you could always lurk. That's fine too. And Raya says, yeah, they don't do well lore-wise for the dwarves, which suck because they are cool. They don't do well lore-wise for the dwarves, which sucks. Okay, I'm guessing you mean which sucks because they are cool. Yeah, I love the dwarves in fantasy. I mean, at least so far in Age of Sigmar, I've been loving the dwarf designs. Like the latest Warcry band that they had for the Fire Slayers is peak. Like, I would love to get my hands on those guys. I love the Caradron Overlords, so say what you will, but I like me my steampunk pirate dwarves. They are so cool. I can't wait to get back to painting my own Warcry band. And I do look forward to getting my hands on those Chaos Dwarves. I've actually been thinking about making my own avatar look like a Chaos Dwarf, but that would involve a lot of work that I don't think I'm able to pull off. And then Ethan says, even if I went to sleep now, I could still join the other 2 streams due to me being off from work. Oh, that does remind me. Thank you for the reminder there, Ethan. Yes. There will not be a stream next Sunday, just repeating this now so that you're aware. But I will be streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm still not set on the times, but I am thinking probably between 6, probably around starting around 6 to about 8 or 9. But we shall see. Yeah, so that'll be my way of making up for not only missing the stream yesterday, but also making do for the fact that I will not be streaming this Sunday. It will be kind of a mixture of gaming, the commission that I'm working on, and continuing to work on our dear old captain here. And Raga says, rest in pepperoni Warcry, we lost you for the new thing. What's the new thing? I mean, I love Warcry as far as the gaming system. but I wasn't aware there was a new skirmish game for fantasy. And then Ethan says, "I for me way we will see." And Lord Inquisitor Callahan says, "Yeah, listening to a bunch of problematic elderly imbeciles is going to require a boatload of Amasek. Also, it's pronounced Callahan. Wasn't I saying Callahan? Callahan? Is that how you say it? Callahan or Callahan?" Uh, Regal says the game they have on the board, I don't know if it's fantasy, but I think the board is hex shaped tile. Oh, I think you're talking about the Underworlds. Underworlds is a much smaller game than Warcry. Like the units are tiny, and by that I mean like you only get like about 5 guys at most. That red is looking nice. Ethan says, but I'll be sure to somehow lure the streams into my routine. And they Callahan? Close enough. I just know a guy named Callahan, at least spelled that way, and that's usually how he says it. He's actually in the Imperial Guard. Severdog says, learning new Warhammer lore is my favorite part of the hobby besides watching painting. Any particular lore that has caught your eye? And Ethan says, good night. Hey, yeah, good night. You take care, okay? Let's move this camera a little closer. That she may constantly be fooling away. And then Cyberdoc says, found out the drafts exist today. What are drafts? Ethan says, see you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. Take care, okay? Have a good night. Cyberdoc says dwarf, my misspelling. As far as, okay, I get you. But what was it? What do you mean that dwarves exist today? In Warhammer Fantasy or in Warhammer 40k? Like, what do you mean? And then Ragyan says, oh, speaking of lore, I know we've had this combo before, but they have basically solidified that Marines are immortal to aging or something like that. Oh, yeah? Was that like in a new codex or one of the books? And Reagan says it was in the new description of Marines, but they are said to be immune to the effects of aging. And Reagan says he's talking about 40k. The second wave. And Cyberdoc says, thank you, Regia. Okay, so yeah, you're talking about the Leagues of Votan or the squats. Yep, dwarves are a thing in 40k. Originally, Warhammer 40k was meant to be a sort of a parody of their Warhammer Fantasy. So pretty much everything that was in Warhammer Fantasy made an appearance in Warhammer 40k. Okay, Regan says it's kind of dumb when you consider Calgar and the lion, but whatever. Yeah, and not just that, but also Dante. Because Dante's supposed to look pretty old, at least when you take off his mask. And Regan says leagues. Ah, okay, yeah. What do you think of the leagues there, Cyberdoc? And Regia says, and Logan Grimnar, he gets old too, yeah. So, I don't know really what this all means. Just makes it difficult to try to parse what is right and what is wrong about the lore. Whenever they gets sort of they muddy the water, I guess, is the best thing I can think of. And Cyberdoc says, I didn't hear about them till this stream. Oh wait, I was talking about Warhammer Fantasy earlier. So, but there are, like I said, there are dwarves in Warhammer 40k. So that is a thing. Yeah, because Games Workshop, the company that makes Warhammer, they have several games besides Warhammer 40k. And they have Warhammer Fantasy, which is no longer running, or at least they're bringing it back as something called the Old Warhammer. Oh, no, Warhammer Old World, sorry. It was an older game that they had, and they've been sort of marketing as far as their fantasy line of stuff. A game called Age of Sigmar. In it, there's a few dwarf factions. Well, a few now. There used to be just 2, and now there's 3, so. but they're all kind of remnants of Warhammer Fantasy, so it's like there's been slowly drip fitting everything from Warhammer Fantasy into Age of Sigmar, if that makes any sense. Let me know if you need that down a little bit. I know it's a lot to take in. And Ragyan says both are so cool. Sorry, I missed where you're talking about which both. Leagues of Votan, the fantasy stuff. You have to explain that one again. And then Ragyan says, I want to make a Leagues army. So you like the Leagues of Votan, man. I think I saw they're making some new models of them too. There was like some kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, Adeptus Mechanicus AI character that I think they're coming out with. But it's supposed to be a new character for the Leagues of Votan. Okay, Ragyan says both being fantasy and 40k dwarves. Okay, yeah, they're both cool. In fantasy, I like the Chaos Dwarves. In Age of Sigmar, I like the the Caradron Overlords. And in 40k, I'm not a fan of the League. I feel like their lore needs a little bit more cooking in the kitchen. Okay, Ragyan says the Slayer King is probably my favorite fantasy dwarf. Yeah, that's such a cool concept. Like, I love the Slayers in general. That's why when I was making my Caradron Overlords, I was painting, because I got some models from this one 3D proxy modeler called Highland Miniatures, and they have this really cool pirate Slayer dwarves, or just pirate dwarves that I'm painting as Slayer pirates. So they got the orange hair and whatnot, and they look so good. If you look at my my Instagram page, you'll see a picture of the first one I painted. I got really into the Slayer pirates after playing Vermintide. And what was his name? I'm trying to remember. The Barden. I think it was named Barda. Barden, the main dwarf character in Vermintide, he has a class that he becomes a Slayer dwarf, which was really cool. Yeah, sorry, my avatar keeps getting off screen. Unfortunately, I keep having to reach to my water cup, and it's not in an easily accessible position. And Raya says, though it's still a toss-up. What's the other possible favorite fantasy dwarf? And the God Emperor of Man says, a favorite fantasy character of mine is none other than the Mr. Supreme, Balthasar Guilt. Ooh, I don't know that one. Who's he? Oh, why am I cleaning this up? I still need to paint some highlights onto those tassels. Cyberdoc says, I hate to say it, but but I only got into Warhammer through 40k. I don't know much about fantasy. Hey, that's okay. That's exactly how I got into Warhammer too. So, perfectly understandable. Warhammer Fantasy was made popular recently thanks to, at least to me, thanks to games like Vermintide. So, if you know of Darktide, there was a predecessor to it. There was Vermintide 1 and Vermintide 2. Honestly, I still prefer Vermintide over Darktide. But it's pretty much, if you haven't played any of the Darktide games or know anything about what I'm talking about, if you remember the game Left 4 Dead, it's like that, but with killer rat men instead of zombies. And in a fantasy setting where you play 2 humans, you play a dwarf, you play a wizard woman, and an elf woman. Okay, Regia says, Karl Franz will forever be the true emperor of the empire. Wow, so not Sigmar himself. And Regia says, avoid the Horus heresy. Or the Horsey heresy. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Horus heresy. I've always felt that the Horus heresy kind of ruins the mystique of Warhammer. Well, I'm a fan, 40k specifically. And Regan says, and you'll look great. I started from fantasy. And Regan, oh sorry, Cyberdoc says, ha, too late, I got into the heresy. Hey, no worries. I just said, me personally, I'm not a fan. But then again, I haven't read it, so, but from what I hear about what happens, I just don't like the fact how they demystify a lot of the setting. Especially because I'm more a fan of 40k than I am the era of the heresy, which is 30k. And I prefer stories more set in 40k than in 30k. And the Emperor Man's, oh sorry, before he said that, Cyberdoc says tragic. I missed the whole conversation, got a perfect ad. Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying, I think primarily that it's okay if you're into the Horus Heresy. I just personally don't like it because I don't like how it demystifies the setting. Since I prefer more stories set in the 40k timeline than in the 30k timeline. Which is the 30k timeline is the Horus Heresy. And the God of Romance says Balthazar Gelt, Supreme Patriarch of the Colleagues of Magic in Altdorf. I'm gonna have to look that up. Did anybody do videos on that guy? Did Arch do any videos on him? That sounds like definitely an Arch topic. But maybe the Temlin Institute? I like the Temlin Institute. That's another one that I really like to watch as far as lore videos. Region says the fact that we have books on the Scouring and they were not very good books was sad. Yeah. I've never read the Scouring, but yeah, I've heard what happens, and yeah, it's not good. Region says arguably they had a layup there. Region says you'd have to look because they are all old world. I gotcha. And Gunniper Man's Pancreas no work. Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of him. Leon says, and Gelt Franz and the lady who does guns are dead. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm not too well versed on my fantasy Warhammer Fantasy lore. I'm still kind of new into getting into it. But I've been watching Adeptus Ridiculous's videos on it, and I've been watching Arch's videos on it. Gunniper Man says, is how I found out about this Mr. Magic Man. Ooh, okay. Okay, I think those tassels looking good. I think we gotta do the back of the tassels and we should be done with all the red. Regan says, yeah, Age of Sigmar only I'm guessing only brings back a handful of characters. Everyone else is gone. Yeah, I'm aware of that part. I'm aware of the travesty that is the end of times. If it weren't for the fact that they try to bring everybody back and that the models look so good, I would not be giving Age of Sigmar the time of day. But their miniatures being as good as they are is what's drawn me towards it. I haven't read too many stories set in Age of Sigmar, but I'm slowly trying to read some more about it. Like I started with the Dreckie Flint novel. He's a hero character for the Caradron Overlords. It was an alright book. I'm not gonna say it was great. But it was enjoyable. Yeah, and Regia says, I agree the model team is the only saving grace. I think the lore of it sucks. Yeah, I don't blame you there. Yeah, I do have a lot of ideas for Age of Sigmar war bands for Warcry. But I haven't actually been able to get to those. Okay, we're done with the red. Okay. Yeah, check it. He's looking pretty good. Alright, yeah, let's work on that bird. Bird. Bird's the word. So we'll go ahead and put away our Marie Quintuple Zero. Now in oh wait, there's still some stuff I gotta do. I keep forgetting that I gotta do the whites. And we got Duty 93 saying hello. How you doing, Duty? Welcome to Looking Cute Debate Minis. I am Interrogator Rosario Rivas. I assassinate Lady Inquisitor Markham of the Order Hereticus, and I'm currently painting this dapper-looking gentleman right here, Kor'Sarro Khan, aka the captain of the company of the White Scars. What brings you into our stream today? Do you find me here while browsing? And then Duty says, White Scars aren't very hereticus. Yes, they're not. Duty says, I need to hear voices while I paint, otherwise I can't focus on it. Ooh, what are you painting? Okay. White. Gotta work on the white. Okay, Duty says, Emperor's Children, Flawless Blades. Ooh, nice. And, Ragion says, more chaos. Yes, there you go. You're not the only chaos player here. Lord Callahan says, what would have been a better and or funny ending to Fantasy would be Grimgore kicking Archeon, the Ever-Chosen, square in the taint and running off toward laughing while finding another fight to have. Yeah, isn't that what happened originally in the tournament in order to, well, at least the official tournament they were planning for the end of times? Yeah, like the orcs like beat the chaos forces easily. Yeah, because back then they actually used to make it so that tournaments would determine what happens in the lore, which I thought was such a fun concept that I kind of wish they would still do. Yeah, Cyberdoc says, is it weird that when I think of corpse starch, I think of canned spam? No, that's not weird. That's exactly what they're going for. And Ragyan says, true. And then Ragyan says, well, it kind of is, and I'm guessing to Cyberdoc there. And then Magyar says, I miss those days. Yeah, those were some good days. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some nun oil to give some variation in tone to that white. Because right now it's some very stark white. And I feel like if I start adding some different colors of white, it won't be that visible. So we're gonna stick with the quintuple zero Marie. And right now says, never forget the knit space marines, and we had books made about it. Yeah, I know, that was great. I feel like that adds a little bit more chaos to the setting. Because again, the setting itself is supposed to be kind of like a game. A game first, a lower setting second. Yeah, that is entirely too much nun oil. By the way, that's what I'm using. I'm using nun oil. And immediately that lightning is a lot more noticeable. We can already see some of the trim there. You notice that portion. I seen the beveling. Yeah, the beveling on the lightning right there, or the scar. You can now see it a little bit more clearly. We will be adding some more white on there, but we do need to get a little bit more contrast. And there we go, that's that first layer. Alright, now we're gonna go right back to adding some white. And the white we'll be using is the ceramite white. Careful with this one because this one's a little milky. That doesn't come out quite right. So always gotta play around with it a bit. I will start with the one here on his shoulder. We got a helmet for the first time. We got saying, your model is so cute. Also, don't often see white cars being painted. Oh, thank you. Glad you like it. And yeah, my name is, for those of you just came in, both Helmet and 3D no Jutsu. Hola 3D, ¿cómo estás? Yes, I am Interrogator Kor'Sarro Rivas, Attaché to Millennium Inquisitor Markham of the Order Hereticus, and welcome to Link Painting Minis. I'm currently painting Kor'Sarro Khan. Y sí, también puedo hablar español. Y buenas, 3D no Jutsu, ¿cómo estás? Yo soy Kor'Sarro Rivas, en attaché de la señorita Markham del Ordo Herético. Y bienvenido a Looking Cute Painting Minis. Estoy pintando un modelo de Warhammer que se llama Kor'Sarro Khan, que es parte de las cicatrices blancas. For those of you who don't know, 3D No Jutsu is also a painter. She paints more models than anything else. So, not models, more like figurines and what do you call those? But yeah, the larger figurines are statuettes. That's the word I was looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and give her a shout out here. And Hellman at 28 says Spanish Inquisition. He looks amazing so far. Yes, I do speak Spanish. And Region says, "Oh no, my one weakness, my native tongue." Hey, that happens. It's okay. And Duty says it's because no one expects them. Exactly. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
Okay, Cyberdog says I had hard trouble picking up Spanish and still haven't. It's okay. You know, sometimes it's just not the language you're more attuned to. And Hellman says, Order Heretic is cool. That's the same order that works with my homebrew chapter. Do you do stuff with homebrew or often? Or sticking to the founding chapters? Oh no, I do a lot of homebrew. I do a lot of kit bashing in homebrew. My very first guild team was a homebrew Conquistadors meets Tempest Scions. Much try to add a little bit more white on. Helmet says, I'm sorry, I cannot, you think. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Oh, Helmet says I cannot unsee the Conquistadors from Helsing Ultimate Abridged. I don't remember that from the Ultimate Abridged one. I remember seeing Ultimate Abridged. But I remember specifically the Conquistadors on there. Was it the Mexican Inquisition? I kinda remember something like that. Helma says, yes, the Mexican Inquisition. Ah, okay. That was such a great abridged, but I love Helsing in general. Such a good anime. Helmet says I have a habit of all my homebrew chapters being loyalists with Traeger gene seeds. Hey, I'm all about that. All about that. My the project that I wanted to put together was a Death Watch kill team that was entirely all made up of former members of Traitor Legions. Okay, I think we're done with that. So no more white. Or at least no more white until we mess something up. I'm gonna go in and clean up the sword a little bit because I feel like there's some parts of it that aren't entirely metallic. Like maybe when I was painting it, I wasn't able to actually cover it fully. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some more on there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a bit of gold to that skull in the center there. So he's got some gold here in this little like I don't know, lapel button thing. And then here as well. Hellman28 says, I really want to give it to the proper shop with loyalist ward bearers. What are you planning to do? How do you plan to make them loyalists? Hillman says, because I already made a renegade word bearers faction that worships the Eldar laughing god, and now they are called a laughing coffin. Oh, that's pretty cool. We like that. Hillman says they use Geno's tech. Nice. By the way, I love this song. Beetlejuice. Cyberdoc says, would Eldar stand-up comedy be the equivalent of praying to the laughing god? Oh yeah, most definitely. And Hellman before that says, Ethan managed to learn how the Necrons Pokeballs work. Oh, nice! Did you do that? In the house? Nice. Yes, for the Emperor. The Emperor is here at the stream. Theo says, Heidi Rosa, sorry you're very late and very tired. I wish you a great stream and enjoy your painting. Oh, thank you, Fidio. Hope you enjoy some sleep. Okay, I think that metallic is looking a lot better. By the way, that's lead belcher that I'm using. Lead belcher. And I'm still using the same brush. I hadn't switched off. Oh, Duty says, I've had a conversion army semi-planned for years. I'd never do it because the cost would kill me, but it was called a depth guard and was underwater guard using stuff from the Indonet Deepkin range for some stuff. Now, that sounds pretty cool, but if you're looking to, save up on some costs, and are willing to get some proxy models, you definitely need to check out Mezgeik. I think it's Mezgeik. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me go ahead and post a link on the stream there. That way you can find Mezgeik. He makes a lot of orc models, but he also makes a sort of old school diver suit death guard that I think would fit very well with what you're going for. And there's the link. And Hellman says, what I usually did was pick a Trader Gene seed and pick which loyalist Cedric chapter they could be off without making it too suspicious. What do you think? I think that sounds pretty cool. Oh, hold on. I missed the part where you explained the Pokeballs. Hellman28, it says, I believe they were actually called a Tesseract, but yeah, I am still debating how I should approach making the fully loyalist warbearers. What I usually do is pick a Trader Gene seed and pick which loyalist chapter they could be of without making it too suspicious. What do you think? Yeah, that's perfectly within line of the 40k lore. There's actually a few loyalist chapters right now in lore that have, I think, at least a couple books, if not a couple of like entries in codexes that may or may not be from Trader Gene Seed. Primarily the ones that are coming to mind are the Minotaurs, which might be from the Iron Warriors, and the Sons of the Phoenix, which might be from the Emperor's Children. And Dude893 says they look really cool. Yeah, I know, right? They have some great stuff. Definitely check them out. I also like their new merch that they just came up with. Cyberdoc says, any of them have Night Lord Gene Seed? Not that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but there might not be any. But that doesn't mean you can't come up with your own. Okay, so we fixed the metallic there. And now let's find, where is my gold? Here we go, my Retributor armor. And we're gonna add that to the skull right there in the center of his, I guess, belt, for lack of a better word. Judy says, not knowingly, AFAIK, Caradrons are world eaters too. Oh, really? Carcharodons are world eaters? I could have sworn they're supposed to be Raven or something. But it could be that they're really world eaters. But something about messing around with the gene seed turned them that way. That's what I heard. I'd have to double check on that. But yeah, that's what my take is. Hillman says, hot take, I think there is already a loyalist word bearer chapter. Their name is the Exorcists, who as part of their making of a Sphinx Marine, have him get possessed by a demon and then banish them out of their body. I've heard of the Exorcists. They're really cool. And I really wish they would have focused on them a lot more as demon hunters than the Grey Knights. Not a fan of the Grey Knights. Okay, Duty says, yeah, AFAIK as far as I know. Okay, I didn't know that acronym. Thank you for clarifying. And there we go. We got that skull there. So we have very minimal gold. We have gold, like I said, here on this button. This other button that looks more like a cross with a skull on it. And now we have it on this part of the belt. And then down here at on the leg. Helma says, I'm just debating who should I make their adoptive chapter. Sadly, Blood Angels are always a no. What do you mean by no? Why no? And then Hellman says, what do you all think? For word bearers, I think it'd be funny to make him, though maybe this wouldn't work, but it would be funny to make them, Space Wolf, adoptive chapter. Again, that's just because I think it'd be funny. Judy says, what is the theme of the army? Yeah, that would actually help a lot with trying to figure out what best adoptive chapter works for them. Okay, since we're working with metallics, let's go ahead and add some washes to all those metallics. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the brush to something a little bit bigger. And we got J-Ray saying, hello everybody, how you doing, J-Ray? Have a good week, what you been up to? We're gonna switch to the number 1 Da Vinci. And Hellman says their GC is too obvious. Imagine them being them and being asked, so how do you guys deal with the red thirst and black rage? This chapter says the what? Yeah, that's true. Okay, so for all the gold, I'm gonna go ahead and use a shader of Seraphim Sepia. And J-Ray says, doing well, just got done with D&D. Oh, how did it go? By the way, we love all forms of nerddom in this chat. So D&D is obviously welcome. Ba-ba-ba. Duty says, I think World Eaters then. And then Hellman says, Duty has to be Loyalist. And then he says, oh. And then Hellman's back with, I think I may have two strong contenders unless someone suggests a cool idea. Let's hear the contenders. All right, there we go. We got that shader there on all that gold. Now I just realized I got to do the pommel too. Okay, Helma says Iron Hands or Dark Angels. I do like the idea of Dark Angels, especially if instead of the Emperor, they are massive lovers of the, or at least the Omnisaya, quote unquote. Or at least they call him the Omnisaya. So I think it might work if you definitely go with the Omnisaya angle and go with Cult Mechanicus style. As far as the Dark Angels, I don't think they work. They're too paranoid. Helmet says very paranoid, but the candles though. Yeah, no, they have a very great look. I'm not gonna say that they don't look cool, but I don't think it'll work for your idea, at least not lore-wise. Again, no one's stopping you from doing whatever it is you want. But if you ask me as far as lore, I don't think they work. Hillman says, I'm saying because both really like their candles. If you go by that logic, then the Black Templars are also massive fans of the candles, and yet their their Imperial Fist, that's the successor chapter. Hillman says on the surface it doesn't work, but everything can work if you chisel it correctly. That's true. Right, next up we're going to be using the Reichland Flesh Shade for all the copper bits. So we already started with the gold, and we added that wash on the gold. And now we're going to add the wash onto the copper bits. So that means this beautiful looking aquila, or whatever you call these, Imperialis, I guess? And now that Imperialis is a lot more shiny. Hillman says I may have to sit on it for a while. Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes ideas don't quite click on the first go. And so you gotta rework it and think about it a lot longer, so it's okay. Hellman says, although I must take my leave, I hope all of you have a lovely day. It has been wonderful meeting all of you. Yeah, it most definitely has been lovely meeting you as well. And thank you for following. I hope to see you in the future streams. Again, keep in mind that I will be streaming most of next week, Monday through Friday.
Not that kind of orc.
Yeah, so keep in mind, I'll be streaming all of next week, Monday through Friday, probably starting around 6 p.m. So keep that in mind and keep that in your calendars. Let's get some more of that Retributor gold. Retributor armor gold, should I say? So I just noticed something. I may have started with a different color of metal on all this gold. Or at least these two bits here. So maybe they don't quite work. Okay, now it's definitely looking a lot more gold. I think I must have used a different metal for those at the beginning. I just didn't remember. Yeah, I think I used the full bright copper. We're gonna go ahead and add that to all the, what's it called? All the parts that are copper, which I originally used as Balthasar gold. So we're gonna use that as sort of a highlight. So we're gonna switch the brush to the quintuple zero Marie because this is gonna require a very steady hand and a very light touch. And already by adding that little bit of the full grade copper, so this left shoulder pad is already looking a lot shinier than the one on the right.
Domine Deus meus, amo te gracus sunt omnibusque fecisti in vivi. Amortus fides non novit, adiuam eut vicam addictionem, nodiam volulius substantie servus esse. Solum modo civis servire volo. Domine Deus meus, confirma propositum meum, adiuvam eut pugnem contra pupillam
Looking very nice.
tendum medicamentis et alcohol.
That's one down.
Non possum hoc facere sine te, adiuvamem Pater celestis. Amen.
He's looking great. I am loving how he's coming out. I really haven't touched the cloak yet, or the bird, or the head. By the head, I mean the one in his hand and not the one he has. Not his own head, that extra head. That one right there, the one I painted blue. Painted it blue because I wanted to go with a sort of sickly appearance, so I wanted to start there for the base, but we're definitely gonna make it look more pale. Okay, I think we're done with all of that. Alright, so what else? What else? What else? Let's go ahead and paint up this little fleck that I actually haven't painted yet. And it's this little, like, I guess, tassel coming out from his sword. So we're going right back to a bigger brush, preferably something not too big. So we're gonna go right back to that size 1 Da Vinci. Now I'm gonna paint it black. Specifically, Abaddon black. The idea is to go from black to a more brownish color, but I want to start with black. And again, I gotta be careful because I definitely painted a lot of white around there. And I do not want to mess up his hand. Oh my, starry-eye surprise. But yeah, I was definitely fooled because this guy is quite the detailed model, as you would expect from a leader unit. Trying to make sure not to hit that armor. Here we go. Okay, and I think we've got it. Yeah, so far we've completed all the red. We've completed all the metallics as far as the copper and the gold. And we've fixed up some of the metallics as far as the sword. We did the symbols, so they're looking a little bit more shiny and developed. And yeah, he is turning out quite nicely. Yeah, I'm loving how he's looking. And Regel says, I'm back from moving a fridge. What did I miss? Well, we just fixed up a lot of stuff. There he is how he's looking right now. We fixed up the tassel here on his sword. We fixed up some of the metallics and made him look a little shinier. I'm debating whether we should add a little bit more highlights to that gold. But for now, I like how it looks. We worked on the symbols on the shoulder, pauldron, and the belt and the knee. Yeah, overall, he's looking pretty good. And Regan says, looking shadowed and cleaned. Yes, he's looking a lot better. We still got a long way to go. We still got to work on the metallic, on the sword. We gotta work on, like I said, I might want to add some more edge highlighting on the gold pieces. And maybe some of the copper pieces here on the chest as well. Maybe some extreme highlights. We gotta work on the head and his hand, his glove, his fucking earring glove. And we gotta work on the falcon itself. Is it a falcon or a hawk? I'm not sure. But yeah, and then of course the cloak, which we haven't touched since we added that brown. But yeah, that's it. Let's see. If you like what I do, like support, please consider subscribing to my Twitch channel or donate to my Ko-Fi at Kor'Sarro Khan. Or if you've missed an episode, feel free to check out my YouTube channel, which is also called Kor'Sarro Khan. So before we go, let's go ahead and check on who we can raid today. And here's what we'll do, since she was kind enough to stop by earlier. We'll go ahead and give 3D Note Jutsu a raid. So yeah, let's get ready for that. And again, Wallace, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate all that you do and always being here for me and sharing in this wonderful hobby that we currently have. Thank you to everybody who showed up today. I really appreciate your patronage. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start reading now. So yeah, I have been Kor'Sarro Khan, and I'm signing out from the grim dark future. Bye-bye, varlets! Oh, big buttons.
Rosario Rivas Art nos hizo un raid con 5 personas. Bienvenidos. Gracias por esa raid, Rosario. ¿Qué andaban haciendo en tu canal? ¿Qué es lo que hacen? No sé si ya nos habías hecho raid antes o es la primera vez. La verdad es que yo tengo mala memoria. Pero saludos a todos, gracias. Nosotros aquí estamos pintando un rostro de Anakin de escala 1.6, ¿sí o no?
Ajá.